Hi, I'm Michelle the Irritable Vegan. I'm here to share my vegan low FODMAP story and hopefully take some of the BS out of IBS. So today I thought we'd talk about a really important question: how to know when it's time to move into your challenge phase. It's no secret that a low FODMAP diet is pretty pointless unless you get round to testing and reintroducing those pesky FODMAPs. But then why do so many of us find ourselves stuck in elimination limbo? Hopefully these 5 telltale signs are going to help you decide when the time is right to move forward and embrace the challenge. Let's get into it. So the official answer to when is the right time to complete the challenge phase is immediately after the elimination phase. And if this is a stage that you're at, then all power to you. You're in the enviable position of being able to complete each phase of the diet in the quickest, most efficient way possible. But I know from personal experience and from speaking to many other people that for a lot of us, it isn't as easy or as straightforward as it sounds. Many of us start off with the absolute best intentions, often completing a strict and successful elimination phase over the course of a few months. But then, for whatever reason, real life takes hold. Perhaps we go on holiday, we start eating out more, we flare up, we move back into elimination phase, we ease off, we really miss some of our favourite foods, we eat cake, and on and on and on. And before we realise it, we've existed in this comfortable, sometimes uncomfortable middle ground where we've not quite been strict enough to consider it part of the elimination phase, but we've also not introduced any of the foods in a systematic or routine way. And if either of these scenarios sounds like you, then let's see if we can get you motivated and prepared to start moving forward. So sign number 1 is that you've secretly turned into a bit of a FODMAP geek. You've absorbed, understood and been guided by the most up-to-date research, either in the form of the Monash app or leaflets from your dietitian. You can confidently shop, cook and eat low FODMAP with relative ease, and you've built up your own personal FODMAP knowledge bank, which includes portion sizes, go-to recipes, your own personal tolerance for FODMAP stacking, and of course you can spot a pesky high FODMAP ingredient from a mile away. And by embracing this inner geek, you've managed to successfully complete an elimination phase for a period of 4 to 8 weeks. Now, as we've previously mentioned, it doesn't have to mean that you've only just recently completed that elimination phase, but if you can honestly say that when you did do your elimination phase, you did it with relative ease, then it's time that we start looking for sign number 2. So for sign number 2, using all that FODMAP geekery that we spoke about in sign number 1, you need to have actually identified that you are in fact sensitive to FODMAPs. Now it might seem a little bit odd that that isn't sign number 1, but if we're being brutally honest, unless hand on heart you can completely accept and admit that you did absolutely everything to the best of your ability in the elimination phase, then you're not really in a position to decide whether FODMAPs are an issue for you. If that's the case, then the best option is to go back, get your head around the elimination phase and do a little mini reset for 1 to 2 weeks to give you a definitive answer as to whether FODMAPs are the issue. So sign number 3 is that after learning and applying all of the knowledge we've spoke about, you've experienced a significant improvement in your symptoms that's acceptable to you. Now, did you notice there that I didn't say you are now symptom free? And the reason for this is that many people who are successfully following a low FODMAP diet never experience 100% relief from their symptoms. The simple fact is the low FODMAP diet is not a cure, and this might lead some of you to think, so what's the point? And if you've honestly done your absolute best during your elimination phase and you're still not truly happy with the results that you're seeing, then it's probably time to go back to your dietitian and discuss some alternatives for moving forward in the future. For the rest of us, we need to accept the limitations of a low FODMAP diet and embrace the fact that it's an ever-shifting, learning and adapting process. This can bring a level of intuition and understanding about your body, your symptoms and its triggers that can lead to control, harmony and relief that you never believed possible. And all of this can have a huge positive impact on your overall quality of life. It's also important here to acknowledge that there's no benchmark for the degree to which your symptoms should have improved. So for example, my idea of a mild flare-up may include no cramping, mild bloating and mild flatulence, but to somebody else that might seem like a moderate or unacceptable level of symptoms. When judging your overall improvement, it's important to compare your current symptoms to you on your worst day and not to the experience of random people on the internet. And now that we've learned to accept the low FODMAP diet for exactly what it is and not what we hoped it would be, it's time to look for the next sign which tells us we're ready to move on. Sign number 4 is that you're winning at FODMAPs but failing at life. Now I know that sounds a tad dramatic, but it's really kind of true. Some people can experience such dramatic improvements that they become so comfortable in the elimination phase and cannot possibly conceive of doing anything that's going to disrupt this newfound equilibrium. Now, whilst I understand this completely, this is a really dangerous situation to find yourself in, both for your physical and mental health in the long run. Now, not only can such a restrictive mindset around food become damaging, but you can seriously impact your long-term gut health by restricting vital fibre and missing out on essential natural probiotics, vitamins and minerals. And it really doesn't have to be as obvious or as damaging as all that. It could be something as simple as the fact that you have a holiday booked and you really don't want to unnecessarily restrict yourself and possibly miss out on some of the enjoyment. You might feel like you've been avoiding eating out or invitations from friends for far too long. You could just really be missing and craving some of your favourite foods, or even just sick of the extra hassle and expense of shopping, cooking and eating strictly low FODMAP. So if you've been patting yourself on the back for an elimination phase well done, but then on the other hand you feel like your life outside of FODMAPs is somehow suffering, it's definitely time to think about moving on. Which brings me to the 5th and final sign, which is that you've recognised that FODMAPs are not the be-all and end-all of your IBS life. Whilst it's easy to get enthusiastic and a little bit consumed by the idea that you can potentially control or at least minimise some of your symptoms through diet, you really need to have an appreciation for the fact that there is so much more to this IBS beast than purely tackling your symptoms from a FODMAP point of view. To truly get the most from a lower FODMAP diet, you need to be aware of and actively managing all the other aspects of your life which can contribute towards your symptoms. From the most basic and often overlooked factors such as portion sizes, when and how you eat, the speed of eating, water intake and even the weather, right up to the biggies such as stress levels, exercise, sleeping habits, alcohol intake and menstrual cycles. And just like with FODMAPs, your own personal tolerance to all of these things is going to be different for everybody. So identifying them and working with your body to limit their impact is going to be an ever-evolving ongoing process. So there we have it. Have you recognised any of these signs in yourself lately? And if you have, I'd love to hear which you identified with in the comments below. And for those of you looking for a practical way to move forward with your challenges, then stay tuned. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to bring you something I've been working really hard on behind the scenes, which is designed to get you moving quickly and easily into your challenges this summer. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.